You know what they say? They say life begins at 40. That's an interesting thought. I don't know what the other 39 years before that are supposed to mean, but anyway, here we have something kind of special. This is a 2023 Toyota 4Runner 40th anniversary edition. But wait, what good is having a 40th if we don't have something to compare it to? Well, I used to own an 88 4Runner, but Boots got rid of it long ago because life happens and rust and excessive mileage and everything else. But what we do have is this. This is a mere 9-year-old, but it is in fact a Toyota 4Runner. Now the question you may have is, how do these two compare? Especially given the fact that this looks like this is going to be the last year of the current iteration, which is the I don't know, 5th generation, fifth, I believe. But anyway, we're going to take a look at these two trucks. One of them is going to be in the background a little bit. The other is going to be in the foreground because it's what you can go buy right now, and it has some very nice features, very nice updates. But my big question is, how different is it from this 9-year-old 2014 version? Are you interested? I am. Let's explore it together. A number of things that are going to make this next segment very difficult. One of which is I got a feral dog right over here that's causing me all kinds of grief. Look at him. God. And while I discuss this new 2023 4Runner 40th anniversary special, looming in the background is the old 14, just watching everything that's going on here. Yeah, I know. Hang on, boy. There you go. God, what a lunatic. Here we go. So, with our 14, we had... quiet. With our 14, we have a 4-liter V6, as we do with the 23 here. And as I just stated, I think they're pretty much identical. But we'll see closer in a minute and find out about that. But we do have the same size tires. In this case, we got your Bridgestones, your Dueler HTs. These things do not look, I bet they're probably good for gas mileage, but they do not look ready for the hardcore off-road-ness. And that's not unusual, really. They're 265/70 R18s or 17s, that's right, same as mine. And yes, very good. See, look at him. He's out of control. He's from Australia. But as you see, one of the neat things they did with the graphics. Hey, that's enough. Quiet. The thing that's really cool about, isn't he obedient? Stand by 1 minute. He's going in the house.
The rest of life feels sick.
Oh, take it easy, honey. These things happen, you know.
Now, what kind of an attitude is that? These things happen. They only happen because the whole country is just full of people who, when these things happen, they just say, these things happen, and that's why they happen.
Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong one. Okay, we'll go back over here. Here's our 23. And as you can see, it's got this Starsky and Hutch graphic on the side of it. I was trying to think of some kind of 80s thing to do, and my God, the 80s were a wild part of my life. I was a marine biologist for a while there, and then I started doing motorcycle journalism at some point. Lived in all kinds of places, Hollywood, California. And anyway, these vehicles have been incredibly popular in the United States, but I noticed something really interesting when this generation came out. Was they weren't selling near as well as they did for a while. I'm not sure why that was, because the 4Runner's always done well because the 4Runner's a very, very good vehicle. And I think more than anything else, it was really popular with the off-road set because they discovered something, that they had something they could actually use as a normal vehicle during the week, and then on weekends they could take it out and go just about anywhere with it. And then in other parts of the country that got deep snow, they discovered that the thing was very good at deep snow. And it just got a really rugged part-time four-wheel drive system, which it has to this day. Now the limited version has a full-time all-wheel drive system, a little bit different setup. But the SR5s and the TRD Pros and everything else, which are a little more popular, have always had this particular setup, which is not as convenient as having an automatic four-wheel drive system, but it is very rugged and dependable. Or so they tell me. There's much dependencies. But look at this great anniversary logo they got going on here. That's nice, isn't it? Yeah, I like it. But as a person who knows these things pretty well, as I've owned 3 generations of the 5. Is that right? I believe so. I've had an 88, a 97, and now a 14. They're good vehicles, and they just work out for, especially if you have dogs, feral dogs. But the back here is extremely roomy. The liftover height's pretty high, which you would expect with an off-road capable vehicle. But it's got like your 60/40 fold downs and your spare tires underneath, and it's a full-size spare, which everybody needs if they're going to do some serious off-road work. And none of this has changed. It looks just like mine, except not beat up. Well, hell, I can actually compare the two if you want. But I got all kinds of crap in the back of mine, so. But here we go. If you fold these down, you got like over 70 cubic feet, close to 80, I believe, storage. I'm doing all this, I'm winging all this unusually badly just because it's like driving my own car. I mean, it really is. Oh, what's this? Look at this little graphic thingy up here. Wow. Look, it's got all the generations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How about that? I'm gonna have to take a still picture of that. I find that very attractive. So the thing about this is probably the last we're gonna see of this particular configuration. There are rumors running rampant about the new 4Runner, what it's gonna be like. I'm assuming it'll still be a body on frame situation. Nice truck frame, which we'll look at later in depth, because I want to compare that to mine. But we shall see. Yeah, this tree's grabbing hold of me. It's an int. It's all right. We get along. Unlike that feral dog, boy. But we have no idea exactly at this writing, talking, videoing, exactly what we're going to expect out of the new one. I'm guessing they're going to put a turbocharged 4-cylinder into it instead of the V6 it has now. I hope not, but I feel like that's inevitable. So anyway, let's look further in depth, shall we? Okay, right off the bat, normally I don't go straight to the engine room, but this fascinated me because I just happened to notice something. These engines pretty much appear to be identical. Now I haven't checked the horsepower on the new one or the old one for that matter. I believe it's 272. I'm just guessing. I'll have the actual numbers for you. But if you look at everything underneath here, including this wildly different type of non-vacuum, normal vacuum brake booster situation, and your air box, and all this stuff here that I don't even know what it does, and your engine. And then we go over to the 2023 version, and despite being considerably cleaner, this one is pretty much identical, wouldn't you say? I mean, the battery's smaller because I put a bigger battery in mine just because I could. But see, there's that brake booster array. And we come over here. There's our air box over there, and there's this stuff that I don't know what it does. And other than being much, much cleaner, boy, these engines are amazingly similar. See, look there. Come over here, and there you go. Pretty much the same Mohegan here, which means it's been around, I think, largely unchanged since about 2010, which I think the current generation is that old. It's 2010 to 2023 is pretty much the same thing. So what does that mean? Well, it means they haven't had a hell of a lot of problems with the engine. And one thing I noticed right off the bat that's interesting is this particular new boy over here, same drivetrain, 5-speed automatic transmission, part-time 4-wheel drive, whole 9 yards, same tire size. It has 1 or 2 miles per gallon less in terms of the fuel economy rating than the 2014. Now there could be all kinds of reasons for that. I'm going to ask Toyota and see if they will give me an answer. But I think it may actually have something to do with the fact that maybe the ratings, how they go about rating the EPA ratings are different. Or there could be a few other things, maybe some emissions tweaks or something. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but I'll tell you, this one over here routinely gets about 18 to 20 miles per gallon in mixed driving is what I usually get. How many miles do I have on mine? Gosh, I don't know, 50-something thousand. I don't drive it as much as you might think on long trips, but it gets a lot of local and heavy-duty use. And I do have different shock absorbers on it. That's all I've done to it, tires and shocks. Oh yeah, and this winch, which I think that's one of the best investments I ever made. I use it all the time. We constantly have trees falling. Go, there's one now. Oh, we constantly have tree limbs falling, blocking roads and all kinds of things. So anyway, let's focus a little bit more on this overall newbie here, because it's a beautiful thing to behold. You know, I don't really understand something. Now, what we have here is the 5th generation 4Runner. So why don't they call it the 5th Runner? You know, they could have called the 3rd generation the 3rd Runner. You know, I never know these things. They don't ask me. But here we have the your instrument cluster on your 2023 40th anniversary edition 4Runner. And as you will see, it is very similar to the 2014 version. One of the previous iterations of actually, that's when they started the 5th generation, if I remember right. But anyway, as you can see, there's glare. God, I hate this glare. Go away, glare. Well, we'll just have to deal with that for the moment. I'm sorry. But it's very straightforward, and it's also very traditional. What you have is a lot of mechanical analog instrumentation. And in the middle, you, of course, have a trip computer array, which can also give you a variety of informative informations, including right now we're getting 0 miles per gallon and we're traveling at 0 miles per hour, just so you know. That's after start, you see. So we have all these different things we can do here. This is one of the most useful things, and the graphic, this goes all the way back to the 14 as well, but the graphic has changed a bit. What if I did this? Let's see if that would help this. No, I'll have to move the truck. Let's drive. But the graphic has been around, and it's very useful. There, is that better? No, that's good enough. Let's just go right into this brick wall here, and you can do that with this car. It's very useful because, as you can see, it tells you where your front wheels are. Look, they're all the way to the right. Look here. And now they're straight again. This is really valuable off-road when you're going over boulders and tree trunks and orc bodies, stuff like that. It really, it may not be intuitive to think that would actually help. Like, don't don't know where the front wheels are, but this helps. And I've used it many, many times, and that's one of my favorite little features actually on this vehicle, because it really comes in handy when you're doing your off-roading. And then we have your tire pressure. Look at that, 33 all around, perfection. And that's all we have in this particular section. Is it's all about tires, which way your tires are pointed, and how much air they have in them. Okay, here we have our navigational, which is just generally telling you you're heading northwest, which we are. That's accurate. Then our audio is off. If I turned it on, you see, there you go. There's what's on there, and then we have your. This tells you whether or not your cruise control is off, and also tells you that your lane departure warning is off. Of course, lane departure is just a warning to tell you that you're migrating out of your lane. It does not do anything to actually correct that, because it's not equipped to do so. So anyway, that's some of your information there that you have at your disposal. And is there any other? Well, we don't have any messages here. And this is all our adjustments we can make. That's the lane departure announcement. I don't know what the A stands for. But anyway, that's where you can adjust that. You can hit that and adjust the sensitivity. Sway warning is on, which actually ties into your attention. If you start to sway all over the place, they're assuming you're falling asleep, so they'll try to wake you up and tell you, stop doing that. We also have, let's see now. Okay. How do I get back to, oh, right there, dummy. There we go. And then this is our PCS, which is a system that allows you for what does it do? Let's say what our deal, it's on, and it's our sensitivity. It's whether or not you're going to rear end somebody, basically. It's a pre-collision system. So that if it sees that you're about to slam into something and it's turned on, it will activate the brakes immediately to try to stop you from doing that, because that would be stupid to do. And then we have your blind spot warnings in your mirrors, which is on. Well, I wonder do we have settings on that? Oh yeah, brightness and sensitivity. How about that? I didn't know that. My vehicle, the 14, does not have that. It was not available at the time. This is a blind spot warning is one of the most useful modern bits of technology that you can get on a vehicle. This is rear cross traffic alert, which is great to tell you that there's something back there that you're about to be run over by. And then we have meter settings, language, units, whether the eco is on or off. And that's a little green light that comes on to tell you that you're driving in a more economical manner than you were a few seconds before that. And that's good to know. Behave yourself when you're driving, and units and all this stuff. Pop-up display, ooh, intersection guidance, incoming calls. See, well, bottom line here is you got a lot of tweaking you can do right here using a steering wheel control. So there you go. I mean, that's just, I usually leave this, what do I usually leave it on? I usually leave it on information, yeah. Okay, so anyway, that's that, and everything else is very straightforward, and it's really nice to see some nice, friendly mechanical analog instruments for a change. And this is, again, part of the traditional aspect of this vehicle that it will be very interesting when they come out with a new 4Runner, what stays and what goes, because they're probably going to get rid of a lot of the good traditional old stuff will probably disappear, unfortunately. But back to here's our center stack, and you got your map. This is something that's different as far as in my system. To get to the navigation, you have to hit an app button and you have to take 2 steps. This is a one-step affair by just pressing the map button, which is great. And then you have your audio selections, and you have your general menu and info. Now I wonder if it still has, yes, this is one of the most useful things in the world, because you can go down here. I may not be able to have, I do have a reception here. But this is great to have a weather map that's just built in. I've used that on my 4Runner about 1 billion times, because you could see fronts and stuff like that. if you're expecting some thunderstorms and things like that, you can deal with it, you see. That's just incredibly valuable. But the screen is actually larger than back on the 14. This is, I believe, an 8.5 inch diagonal, and mine's a 6, which is, as you'll see, it's much smaller. So they've done a lot with that without doing too much, and it's still, I think, that is a very good size screen for this vehicle. I don't like the huge ones. I think are problematic in their own way. Now, here's something that hasn't changed at all, which is kind of surprising, but I like it. And that is your climate control is about as manual. Oh, one other thing is you have your knobs here still for your radio, your volume, and your tuning. That's good. Okay, down here we have your completely manual climate control system, which you literally pick which vents you want the air to come out of. Here's your full defroster, and here's your full facial. And here's your fan speed. Ooh, listen to that. Woo-hoo! And over here's your temperature setting. And that's it, man. It's like old school, but it works. It works just fine. And you want to have your air conditioner on, like especially when you go into the defroster mode. It's not turning on because I got to turn on there. There we go. And now it will help defrost. This is one of the most critical aspects of your defroster system, by the way. No matter what time of year it is, if you use your air conditioning system to help defrost and allow you to see, because seeing is important. Now then, this particular button activates your extensive, because it goes on the side rear windows too, rear window defrosting area, and your mirrors. And I can testify that works really, really well. Downward, we just have a couple of things. You got your USB-A, and then you got your 12 volt right there. And that's it. No USB-Cs or anything else right there. No. It used to have, mine has an auxiliary, I think. I will look. I'm afraid to take you into mine because the one difference, the biggest difference between this 2023 and my 2014 is mine's dirty. Real dirty. It's just accumulated dirt. I blame dogs and people and weather coming in through the windows. And speaking of which, if we migrate all the way down here, look at here. This is a Toyota thing that is so wonderful. And that is your rear window. Your rear window goes all the way up and down at the push of a button, just like it. You can stop it anywhere you want. Right there. That's good. And you also get that on your Sequoia and your Tundra crew cab. Incredibly useful, especially if you have dogs, because you can get more ventilation for them there. And I don't know why more manufacturers do it, although I suspect it has something to do with, A, the threat of exhaust fumes getting into the cabin, which is actually pretty slight, I think. And B, the windows are getting so curved in the back that it's more complicated to have a window that goes up and down. In some cases, not possible. So you got that, and your seat heaters are here, which are, speaking of dogs, they love to play with these. I can tell you right now, my dogs love, especially in the summer, coming up here and they'll put their paw there and they'll turn this on. And then the next thing you know, you got a roasted bottom. There you are. So what else do we have? We have our conventional automatic transmission, 5-speed, as I mentioned before. And in reverse, you got a very good, clear backup screen, including this little guide right here, which is where your trailer hitch will be. If you have a trailer hitch on there, it really facilitates backing up and parking. You can keep, as far as I'm concerned, you can keep all these automatic backup to the trailer systems. If you have a good backup camera, that's all you need. If we go down into drive here and pop over here, we got your manual settings for your manual shifting. 5 speeds total. Back to drive, and there we go. Then up forward, on this particular vehicle, there's 2 different designs that are in 4Runners. This dial design is the SR5 package, usually, which is pretty much what this 40th anniversary is based on. And you got your high 2, and then you got your high 4, and then you push down on this and push down on the dial to go to the low 4. And that, incidentally, is traditional, in that you can do that all you want and nothing will happen. because you have to have it in neutral, then push it down, and then you can go into 4-wheel drive low. You got that? There we are. And then we'll go back to high, which is where I stay when I'm just driving around on the pavement, as should you. Excuse me. So, what else do we have? Well, as we migrate aft, we have a surprisingly deep and roomy console. This is one of the few areas on the 4Runner that storage is great, because I really wish it had more storage areas, more cubby holes and all that kind of thing, because it could use it. That's one of the few complaints I have about mine, is that I wish it had more storage, in-cabin storage, as we like to call it. I'm going to back up a little bit here. There we go. All right. Now, there is, of course, storage in the doors for your larger drink bottles and all that kind of thing. And you do have a cup holder here, and a cup holder here, and a slotted containerized area for I don't know what. You do not have a QI charger for your phone on this model. Perhaps on the Limited and stuff. Oh, look at way down there. I didn't even see this. You got your heated steering wheel. That's another nice thing to have. And over here, we have two things. This is your de-icer for your windshield, which is right around in the, it heats up around the windshield wiper area. So when you're getting all that snow and stuff off of there, you can, it greatly facilitates that as far as breaking up the ice. And so you can free your windshield wipers to further clear your windshield so you can drive somewhere. And then we have our, this is our little adapter. We have an AC converter that is 400 watts or 100 watts. I don't understand why it's green and yellow and what, but the actual outlet is located in the back of the truck, and I have a similar setup on mine, and it's very handy. You can plug in, 400 watts is a pretty good dose of electricity, so that you can operate a couple of power tools and things like that with the engine running when you're on the job site, or if you just need it temporarily for whatever you're doing, or if you want to use it to charge drones and things like that. Not that I would have any knowledge of doing that, you understand. What else? Oh yes, we have the traditional Toyota cruise control down here, which is on off is here, and then this is how you set your resume and your acceleration, and then down here is your setting of the speed that you're traveling, and also reducing speed. You know, very straightforward. The opposite of what some of the Volkswagen and Audi system is, which is over here on the other side, which I don't understand why they do that, because Toyota is better. I find it more convenient on the right side, but you may not. This is your auto switch, which is if you want to have the car determining when the high beams are not appropriate, like when there's a car coming towards you with their high beams on, or whatever. But that's an acquired taste. Personally, I'm not real wild about those. I've been dealing with several of them that are really problematic, especially on curves. They don't really dim the lights as soon as they should. Anyway, oh, and over here, this is just nice. This little touch right here is your logo for your 40th anniversary. I like that. I think that's nice looking. And you'll also get a logo here on the seat back. And what are these seats made of, you may ask? Is it leather? No, it is Softex, which is a synthetic that is very much like leather, but a little more, I sense it's a little more durable. It also has a little bit better degree of waterproofness. Well, not waterproofness, water resistance, I should say. But it seems to be good, stout stuff that holds up well. I could tell you how mine have held up, but I have seat covers on that I put in from day one because of the dogs. And I get in the truck all the time when I've been diving and I'm wet, and I just find seat covers to be, if I ever sell it, I'll just be able to take those seat covers off and the seats will be brand new. So, and there's our logo again on the floor mat right there. Isn't that nice? Yeah, that's pretty. All right, what do you say we, oh, one other thing, two other things. Up here, we have your ATAC switch, which would go on if I was in four-wheel drive low. That is an enhanced traction system that just amplifies the traction control system you already have, in that if you have a tire, let's say one of your front wheels is just up in the air and therefore is just spinning when you apply power. Well, the ATAC system will help brake that, and using the braking system, using the brake pads to slow and stop that tire from spinning, which will transfer the torque over to the tire that hopefully has traction. And the normal traction control works that way, but this is like a steroided version of that. And I can personally vouch for the fact that it does work, because I was stuck on this rock once, and I couldn't get out in four-wheel drive low because too many tires were spinning, and I was sitting on it. And I punched the ATAC button and put her in four-wheel low, and boop, I came right out. So good to have. What else do we have up here? We have, of course, your operation of your sunroof right here, and your garage door openers right here, and your mappies, your map lights right there, and traction control off. And this is your DAC, which is your descent control, which I'm going to test later to see if mine works great, but it makes all kinds of racket, the actual computers, when it's releasing and grabbing the brakes to descend you down without sliding. It just makes a lot of noise, and I know a lot of the subsequent generations have gotten better. I don't know if they did that to the 4Runner, if they kept the old system or if they've upgraded it, so we'll find out, hopefully, if I remember to. Okay, now then, room is good, very good. It's funny, you actually sit higher up in the rear seats than you do in the front, which makes this kind of higher if you like to put your hand right here, and the window switches are way up here, which I've never gotten used to. I always wanted them to be about here, about this level, but that is not even worth mentioning, although I just mentioned. Here's something you children probably have not seen before. It's kind of, some people would say it's obscene nowadays, but you put this piece of metal and you slide it in there, you put your foot on the brake, and that's how you start the car, you see. But here we have here's our 2014. Quiet you. This is our 2014 instrument cluster, and I find it more attractive personally. But you see, we have a very similar, in the center here we have our little computer, which does many things, but not near as many as the other one does. But there, look at there. There's our front tires, which I enjoy so much. And gee, it's otherwise analog mechanical instrumentation. And over here, right here, we have our screen, which is smaller. It's about 6 inches. And look up here. This is called a CD player. Now, a CD is a compact disc, children. And it is well, let me show you. I think I got one right here. Yeah, hang on just a minute here. Yeah. Here's this is a bare naked ladies. You see, you take this disc out, you put it in there. I'd put it in there and play some for you, but there's copyright issues, and even though I just laugh at those and just run to the hills whenever they try to get me for those. And I already have a Dixie Chicks thing in there, but anyway. Our display is remarkably similar. It's just updated, if you will, on the newer one. And the rest of the interior is pretty much filthy. There's my first aid kit, which comes from the American Red Cross. God bless them all. And there's some more light here. But you may see a disturbing similarity. Look at here. All the controls are the same. Four-wheel drive controls are the same. Transmission. I did accessorize with this TRD shifter because I just liked the feel of this shifter better than the stock one. Was just this straight thing that I just This is better. You get a much better grip on there. And all this, there's our, what the dogs love so much. There's my heated seats. And so everything else is pretty much the same, except I do not have adaptive cruise control. I do not have blind spot warning. But look at here. Look at all the heating and ventilation. Oh, there's Rafiki. Hi, Rafiki. Here's our heating and ventilation and air conditioning system, and it's identical, completely identical. Everything's in the same place. They didn't change that. The only one thing they did change here is these knobs are bigger and have a little rubber coating on them and are just the best. They're total pleasure to use. And if we want to go to the map, we got to go there, you see. And it's a much smaller map than the other one. But it works. And except when it tells you to go the wrong place, which they all do. I just had a state-of-the-art car that cost $90,000 that literally told me there was a road with a certain name at a certain place right in front of me, and it wasn't there. It was wrong. So, you know, you can't trust machines ever. But even up here, your ATAC, your hill descent, all that stuff's right in the same area. So see, the more things change, the more they stay the same. One thing you will observe is this vehicle does not have any kind of sideboards or anything like that, and that will increase your clearance as far as the sideboards are concerned. But as you can see, the fuel tank is right down here, and it is protected. And this is steel, unlike the new Tundra and even the old Tundra TRD, not the TRD Pro, but the TRD package, is made out of a polymer of some sort. I was shocked to find that out, because our truck is several years old, and it's a previous generation Tundra, but it is plastic. Strong plastic, but plastic nevertheless. Okay, now as you can see, the opening ratio is roughly 84 to 85 degrees as opposed to 9 degrees. You got your child lock right in there, so you can lock them in so they can't get out ever. And there's good room back here. You have a almost completely flat floor. You have very good leg room because the front seat's back fairly far. Your headroom is good, not fantastic. If you're 6 feet or over, you might run into some issues, but for the most part, it's good. As you can see, the belt line is a little bit lower, and the view out is great. And the windows go all the way down, which is good to know. Now then, you don't have your individual map lights, but you do have your thing here that's what I call your centralized map light, which is just your dome light. And you have some ventilation here coming through here, and then you have a couple of USB. I think these are USBs. Oh wow, that looks like it might be a USB. No, I think that's a C. I think that's. Wow, is there anything in between a USB old A style and a USB-C? That's what it looks like. But anyway, you have plenty of room back here. It's good. And you do sit higher. It's not quite stadium seating, but you do have a commanding view of the rest of the car and outside, which is nice for your passengers, especially if you find yourself driving in a scenic area. That's cool. That's good to have. And the dogs like it too. The dogs like to be able to see out, in their environment. And to put these seats down, this is the classic 4Runner style, going all the way back to the original. Yep, put you down like that. There we are. And then you fold them flat on both sides, and you got 70-something, 80-something cubic feet. A lot of room back here. But anyway, very simple, very straightforward. And once again, back here, it's a very high liftover, but you got a lot of space. And here's what I was talking about earlier. There's your AC plug-in, 400 watts of capacity. And a first aid kit. Oh, that's worth it. I wonder if I could steal that. Oh, I already have a first aid kit in my truck anyway, so your jack and everything is over here. Underneath here we have floor. There's no storage under here, unfortunately. I wish there was, but the fact is, what's directly underneath there in the floor is the full-size spare tire, and they want to tuck it in as high as they can, so that's why you don't have any storage underneath there. At least that's what I believe, as you can see, because there's your full-size spare right there. And here you have your trailer hookups right here. This one's for your horse trailer, and that one's for your utility down there. I do a lot of towing with mine on that utility trailer. I utilize its utility. And you got these real nice lights back here too that are good. And you crazy modder types can put some like billion-watt halogen bulbs in there, and you can light up everything as you want. But this is interesting. Watch this here. You can unlock and lock this. No, it won't lock it because the key's inside or something. Why is it beeping at me? That's my own fault. But there used to be a way. I don't understand how this works. Huh. There used to be, with the key, that's something about my 14 that's really interesting. It has this thing called a key. And the key you use for everything. And I wonder what it was telling me. It's flashing. Turn power off. All right, I'll do that. Check rear seat. Okay, I'll turn the power back on. Huh. I don't know what that was about, but I'll look it up. I believe you have the means to raise and lower the rear window from outside. I know you do on the older one, but like I say, now see, here's how we do this old school here. There we go. Window comes down. Window goes up. Using the key. Now we go over to this one over here. Hello, kitty. My God, it's gonna tear up everything. And this one, all we gotta do is this one right here, we push this button. You see? Huh? Huh? Progress. Ain't it neat? What is a key? But anyway, there's your 4Runner for 2023 inside. What can I tell you other than it's got a decent amount of room in it, about what you would expect for the size of the vehicle and the fact that it's a big square thing. And they haven't changed it in a long time, and that's why they're pretty happy with how things go. What will the future portend? What will we see in the 2024 version? Who knows? We'll find out soon, though. Stay tuned. Oh, just look at the stunning newness of it all, the cleanliness. But here's your 4Runner rear axle, your rear live axle, with your coil spring right up in there. And here's your lower link. And you can see right up here, here's your upper link. And then you got your panhard rod right here, this thing right here. So as you can see, it's a very rugged, solid, tested setup. Yeah, you're looking at something that's very similar to most other trucks and live axles these days. Got about the same setup. And if you look forward here, we got our skid plate over our fuel tank. Got a little skid plate up there if you can see it on the transfer case, and the fully boxed frame, which is a wonder to behold. It's really quite beautiful. And here's the thing. What if you're wondering to yourself, what would this all look like after 9 years in the salt belt? Would this be all rusted to pieces? Allow me to take you there. Into the fuel. Well, here's my vehicular. And as you can see, there's a fair amount of rust and crud and crap on here. But all the parts are still here. This piece of tape right here. I don't know what that's doing there. Take that off of there. Don't like that. But there you go. Now my skid plate looks good, doesn't it? Well, it's because I replaced it after I had this encounter with a rock. But as you can see, there's nothing's changed basically as far as how everything is set up. It's identical. There's your upper link. There's your lower link. Everything's the same. It's just seeing the rusty roads up here. But none of this is compromised badly. Now the only thing that's changed from stock is I put some new shocks on there. Those are your Bilstein 5100s on there, which I'm really glad I did, because they're every bit as good as the stockers were, but the stockers were suffering from a lot of rust, and I was concerned about how much longer they would be able to do their thing. So there you go. I mean, that's it's holding up fine so far. The bad thing, I'll tell you a secret about rust in this part of the world where they use so much on the highways, is your vehicle will do fine for 9 or 10 years, and this is 9 years old, and then it starts to get bad. All of a sudden, like somebody snapped the finger. And I get under here with your WD-40 gel and spray it from time to time if I remember to do it. But for the most part, the truck's holding together real well. I'm not having any serious rust issues yet, but, you know, hopefully that won't change. I recommend, if you're going to buy this one or this one over here, it's new, I'd go with that one. It's much prettier underneath. You know what I mean? Thank you for playing. Yes, indeed, we got us some terrain here. Lots of little sticks and things got to run over here. So what your skid plates are for, you see. What's really interesting is that this particular trail varies dramatically in different times of the year, like crazy. Like when it tends to be very soft during the summer times, and it tends to get a whole lot harder, like rock hard, cement hard, during the winter time, like it is now. It's like very, very hard. But you see, we can just climb right over all this. This is what we're going to test out right now. I want to see how this thing sounds. We're going to use the hill descent control here. Activating. It's flashing, so I think that means I may have to put this in 4-wheel low. Hang on here. Neutral. Push down. 4-wheel drive low. And there we go. Hill descent is now activated. Here we go. Now you hear that sound? That's the computers and the actuators that are involved with slowing the vehicle. And this is just as loud as it is on mine, which cracks me up, because I thought if you drive like the new Tundra and use one of these systems, it's very quiet now. It doesn't make all this racket. But this is making the racket because that's what it does. Boy, this is an interesting rock right here. I'm going to have to be careful of that thing. Yes, indeed. Oh, there we go. And there we are. But you see? But that's what that sounds like. That has not improved. That is exactly the same. All right. Here we go. Back on the high life again. There we go. Do ole, 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 ole. Another big thing about a vehicle like this is how easy is it to turn around, i.e. how tight is the turning radius. And boy, there's a lot of trees that have been knocked down that have been cleared through by some some Samaritan of some sort. Probably a good Samaritan, I would think. I sure would like to know where all this damn traffic come from. Because I don't need it. I don't need all this. Don't need it at all. All right. You hear the pitter patter of mud. There's some mud kicking up around there in your wheel well region. Boy, it's weird driving a 4Runner that, let's just say I have a certain familiarity with this particular generation. Not much has changed. You know, they have, they got this linkage of shock absorbers on certain 4Runner models called the X-Reus. And I've never been really wild about it just because it adds complexity to your off-road vehicle, meaning that when you replace the shock absorbers for any reason, you have to have ones that'll take care of that. What I mean by that is it has plumbing that goes like so, from the left front to the right rear and the right front to the left rear, so that when the vehicle starts to lean over, it actually pushes some, and it compresses on this side, it pushes some fluid on this side, or something like, or vice versa. But anyway, the whole bottom line purpose of it all is to help the vehicle in cornering to remain more flat and not lean as much. That's basically what it does. This vehicle doesn't have that. My vehicle doesn't have that, and I'm glad. I'm very glad, because I don't think it makes that much difference. Obviously, this vehicle's got a lot of ground clearance. Whoa, boy, that helicopter's going low. I think he's below FAA minimums. Everywhere I'm going, these damn people are flying below FAA minimums, and how am I supposed to fly my drone? But I've never really experienced problems with this thing being with the 4Runner being overly top heavy or excessive leaning and cornering at all. I think it actually is fine. Is good. It actually handles pretty solid. It's another reason why there's been no major engineering change on this vehicle in 13 years now. I mentioned that this is why this vehicle has been so popular, is there are not a lot of bells and whistles on it. Now we do have adaptive cruise control, which I just activated. We're going to see how it works. My car doesn't have that. It just has your regular cruise control. So it has that, but it doesn't have any kind of lane steering, centering, or any of that stuff. It has a warning that goes off if you deviate from your lane, which I have not, which is turned off, I think. Let's see. Yep, it's turned off. But the reason I can't have the self-steering on it is because this older design engine has a hydraulic, old school type of power steering pump. And in order to have the lane centering and the self-steering aspect of it, you have to have electric power steering. I guarantee you the next generation 4Runner is going to have that. No matter what engine they put in it, it will have that. One of the things that's interesting about evolution and change in the same vehicle is they've moved a few things around a little bit. For example, I just tried to raise the volume on the radio there, and that's where I was activating the phone system, because they've moved that there. I don't want to go that fast. I want to go that fast. So anyway, these little changes that they make, and I always wonder why those changes are made, but they just they play around with it and say, well, let's try this, it'll do it better. So you have your radio controls over here now, including volume, and then you have your phone down here. This used to be volume for your phone, for your stereo system. Now, I don't remember what the left and right on that did on my own car. Oh, no, I never used it. my thumb will only go this way and it won't go this way, so. But, so important things. Not really. But this vehicle's fairly quiet. It's just exactly like mine in terms of the quiet department. Both of these vehicles, mine and this one, see how much quieter that is now? Have sunroofs. And it's not the quietest vehicle in the world, but it's actually quite quiet. Now, in my case, with the switch tires that I did, those tires are fairly noisy compared to the stockers, which are very quiet tires. Something else you don't have is you don't have your automatic climate control on this, and I don't have it on mine either, which is not a big deal. It's nice to have if you get it. If it's on the car, it's fine. It's good to have. I use it on, if it has an automatic mode, I use it all the time. It's great. But if you don't, it's not the end of the world. Don't be upset. Don't get all fidgety, because you can easily adjust it right here. Another thing that's really interesting about vehicles like this, when you have a big box, it's the same thing with a Jeep Wrangler, and you're sitting around on your chassis, and you're driving on the highway like 70 miles an hour, like we're doing right now, and the wind comes up. Wind starts blowing good, and you end up in a crosswind situation. The vehicle can be blown around a little bit. 4Runners, to me, the current generation, has never been real bad in this regard. Actually, there's some CUVs, some crossovers that blow around pretty nasty. But this is good. I would say it's definitely better than like a Jeep Wrangler. It's much more aerodynamic. And it's not surprising, because look at the Jeep. It's literally a slab-sided. This at least has some sort of attempt to put some aerodynamics into it. Whereas the Jeep, it don't do that really. It's more interested in traditional looks, which compromise a lot of things about it, to be honest with you. But it looks like a Jeep, though, don't it? So all in all, as a highway vehicle, this is a real comfortable truck to drive. Always has been. That's something that speaking of quiet, incidentally, the 97 that we had, man, that was one quiet truck. I mean, there were two things about the truck that were phenomenal. And this is almost as good, but not quite as good. And that's the engine. The cabin was so quiet at speed, and the engine idled incredibly smoothly on that 3.4 liter V6. 3.5, 3.4. Wait a minute, what was that? What size was that? 3.4, I believe. No? Yeah? You guys know? Yeah, I don't remember right offhand. But that is just a sweet, smooth running engine. The only downside that engine had was you had to replace the timing belt every 60,000 miles, which is not that big a deal, obviously, but not super cheap to have that done, and you don't have to worry about on the more modern versions. The V6 that appeared in 2010, you never have to replace it. Has no timing belt, has timing chains. And timing chains you sometimes have to replace too. I had to replace at 125,000 miles, the timing chain on my 88 4Runner with the 4-cylinder engine. I had to replace it because it was starting to get a little loose and make noise. And that's when they start doing that, you need to look into that. And rather than just look at what the tensioning system was, it was much easier for the mechanic just to go ahead and just swap it out completely. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you a story about that. When I had that done, the mechanic, who was the shop steward at a Toyota dealership, told me that he asked me what kind of oil I'd been using. I went, well, I told him it was, I believe it was Mobil 1. And he said, the reason I asked is your engine looks like new. He says, that engine is in perfect, it's clean as any engine I have ever taken apart to change the timing chain and everything. He says, everything is beautiful. And I went, oh, thank you very much. Of course, that was in the days back when I used to change the oil every 3,000 miles, which It's pretty often when you drive it a lot. That's quite often. Well, there. How about all that? That's all interesting, isn't it? Well, how much does all this cost anyway? Well, I'll tell you right now. Your bottom line here is $47,085, and go buy one. Get two, they're small. But remember, folks, you need to get the right one. We're going through a change here, as we all know. And I don't know what it's going to be like in 2024 model. But your 2023 is still very similar to the 2014. So do you want to go the route of the old style proven version, or you want to jump on the new youngin when it comes around? Well, I can't make the decision for you, but I'll just tell you that the 5th generation 4Runner has been a very, very good vehicle. It's been a good vehicle for me personally. And the new version, I think they left a lot of really good stuff alone, which doesn't happen very often these days. So think about it and have a wonderful time. And remember, sometimes new is not necessarily better, and sometimes old ain't that great too. Take care, folks.
Always makes me feel a little melancholy. A grand old warship being ignominiously hauled away the scrap. The inevitability of time, don't you think? What do you see?
A bloody big ship. Excuse me.
007. I'm your new quartermaster.
You must be joking.
Why, because I'm not wearing a lab coat?
Because you still have spots.
My complexion is hardly relevant.
Well, your competence is.
Age is no guarantee of efficiency.
And youth is no guarantee of innovation.
I'll hazard I can do more damage on my laptop sitting in my pajamas before my first cup of Earl Grey than you can do in a year in the field.
Oh, so why do you need me?
Every now and then a trigger has to be pulled.
Or not pulled. It's hard to know which in your pajamas. Q.
007.
Gesalten wollen, sem viel